كالسيف كالريح كالموج غزارة عادم كالخيل كالليل كالرعد شرارة ضامن كالسيف كالريح كالموج غزارة عادم كالخيل كالليل كالرعد شرارة
مقدام يطلب ثاره ويرى في الموت بشارة. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, bro. Might as well bring that back. So, you come here because you want to sort your life out. Maybe you're struggling from inconsistency, lack of faith, lack of purpose and structure. Or maybe you're just feeling like you need to restart. But apart from all that, it doesn't really matter what sort of situation you're even in. As long as you have the intention to better yourself and your life, then nothing can stop you. To be honest, I was probably in the exact same situation as you. If you weighed 110 kg and looked like a degenerate. But apart from that, I understand the feeling. It's either you're putting in the work and you just can't get anywhere with it. Or maybe you're not even trying and you want to actually start trying. And I made that decision around 2 years ago. Before we begin, let me tell you a bit about myself. So if you didn't know, my name is Musa. Around 2 years ago, I decided to change my life for the better, I guess. But I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't start practicing straight away. The one thing that I actually started properly doing was focusing on my weight loss. Across the screen right now, there should be my fat face. And I'll kind of give you an idea of what I actually look like. I hold the view that whatever you look like is a kind of reflection of the inside, I guess. If you don't have a healthy body, if you don't have a strong body, your mind is probably weak as well. Because I believe that mental health, physical health, spiritual health are all linked. And that spiritual health is the most important type of health. Because if your spiritual health is right, then the whole rest of your health should be, inshallah, fine. And it's sad that most self-improvement kind of YouTubers nowadays, they leave out the spiritual side. And when they do start talking about spiritual things, they take it from some next guy who wrote some random book. Okay, aside from that, 2 years ago, I was in a very, very, very dark place. I know we can all relate to the kind of hopeless feeling that you get. I've talked about in a previous video, it's right there. But this kind of hopeless feeling just spanned my entire existence at that point. I wasn't motivated to do literally anything. I had no discipline. I wasn't doing anything that benefited myself. All I would do was just eat fast food every day, watch anime, I guess, go on my phone, and do other illicit activities. But one day I just got tired of it. I just thought to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. And all I'm going to be talking about today is what I would tell my past self if I were to start again, I guess. All this video is going to be is just me establishing a solid baseline for you, which you can then progressively overload. And if you don't know what progressive overload means, I'm going to be talking about it later anyway, so it's alright. I'm going to be telling you the things that you need to do to establish the absolute bare minimum that should get you going on a good trajectory. Alright, enough about me talking about the most basic backstory ever. The categories that I'm going to go over to help you are salah, gym/fitness, reading or seeking knowledge, phone usage /social media /dopamine detoxing, a little side point on consistency, and then we're going to end on self-belief. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be hard. Very hard. Because if you think about it, for the past how many years, you've built up these habits that you do, built up these bad habits. Maybe it's drugs for you, I don't know. Maybe it's just binge watching Netflix. Maybe it's junk food. Maybe it doesn't matter. Throughout the course of your life, you built up these habits which are now kind of you're sick of and they're destroying your life. But the thing is, with any habit, they are very hard to break. Probably one of the hardest habits for me to quit was binge watching YouTube. Now, it might seem kind of weird because I'm uploading this on YouTube. But the thing is, whenever I would get that kind of hopeless feeling back, when I would kind of revert back to that mindset, I would just go and binge watch YouTube. It's like a comfort blanket, or kind of like an escape. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. It's going to be very, very hard. But the thing is, everyone would be doing it if it was easy. The stuff that characterizes it, the stuff that makes it what it is because it's hard. And before we talk about anything else, you just need to accept that. All right. You ready, yeah? I know I told you that we're going to go into Salah first, yeah? But the first thing we need to establish is why we're doing any of this. What is our purpose? A lot of people wonder this. But, if you're a Muslim, it's pretty easy. Allah just tells us it in the Quran.
وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ.
Alright, with our purpose established, let's get into Salah. Now, because I'm so smart, I put Salah first because it is probably the most important action you ever do. Salah is you physically fulfilling your purpose. Some of the most basic things we're commanded to do in the Quran are
وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ.
Also on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Salah is the first thing that we're going to be asked about. So obviously it's probably important. Abu Hurairah reported that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the first thing that person will be brought to account of is the Salah. That's why it's the first thing I'm talking about. First we need to establish the basics of Salah. Make sure you know how many rakats are in each prayer, what time the prayer actually is. I recommend going to your local masjid and they'll probably give you a calendar. Or maybe they have a WhatsApp group chat or something, just join that. So, because we're starting with the basics, aim for every Farz prayer. Now, it might sound kind of extreme going from maybe 0 prayers right now to all the way to 5. But the thing is, 5 prayers on to be, there's no negotiation between, or maybe pray 2 prayers here, 3 prayers there. You need to pray 5. That's just how it is. Now, the most common kind of corpse that you get is
it takes too long.
Let's rationalize this, yeah. Each prayer takes around 5 minutes. Just the first prayer is 5 minutes, yeah. 5 minutes, 5 times 5. If you've done maths, then 25 minutes. Now, if you're telling me you don't have 25 minutes a day to pray to the one who created you, then you're lying. You're just lying straight to my face. You're lying to me, you're lying to yourself. You have 25 minutes, alright? You probably have like 3 hours that you do nothing with. You just waste. As soon as you get that kind of notification on your phone or whatever, if you have the app, or the second you hear the azan, go and get ready to pray. Don't let the whisperings of shaitan just come to you and say,
oh yeah, I'm too tired today. I'll pray the next prayer.
Because you're just starting, you're going to give into it very, very easily. Because you haven't understood the concept that you are not your thoughts yet. Now, I'm going to repeat again. Make sure Salah is the priority, yeah? Make sure it's the priority. Listen, I don't care if you need to sit down and watch some motivational lecture by some random guy about why you need to pray, yeah? Maybe you'll come back and watch this video again. But you need to pray, alright? Some scholars even say that if you don't pray, you're literally a disbeliever. Salah is what separates us and the non-believers. If you want to identify yourself as a Muslim, then you need to pray. I believe lack of prayer stems from a lack of iman, a lack of faith. But the thing is, iman never stays the same. But the thing is, you need to be disciplined enough so that even if your iman is very, very low, you're still praying. You only gain that closeness and that familiarity with Allah by praying. Now, I'm not discounting learning about Allah, learning about His Messenger, peace be upon Him. But Salah is the number one priority again. I don't know, I need to repeat it so many times because it's very important. Now, in terms of mindfulness, if you don't know what mindfulness means, it basically means being present. The way you actually want to start enjoying it, it might seem like a foreign concept of you actually enjoying Salah. You might have been taught it's just, okay, just something you do. If you don't do it, you're going to hell. But the thing is, Salah is supposed to be enjoyed. You're supposed to enjoy, you're supposed to look forward to it. I'm not going to blame you because the way Islam is taught nowadays, But the thing, the kind of ritualistic, the kind of legalistic version of Islam that these people teach, not true Islam, because true Islam takes in the spiritual aspects. Islam is not just actions. It's the meaning behind the actions that makes it Islam. Talking about meaning, what I was going to say is that you need to learn the meaning of the words that you're actually saying. It doesn't make sense to have a conversation with a person when you don't understand what you're even saying. If you wouldn't do that normally, why do you do it with Allah? Shouldn't you know what you're saying to God? Shouldn't you know what you're saying to the being that created you? The being that created everything? To start off, at least learn what Surah Fatiha means. You study in every single rakat. Without Surah Fatiha, Salah isn't valid. Learn what it means, progress from there. That's my advice. The other tip that I want to go over is focusing on every single word. Now, you know the meaning now. Focus on every single word that you say, every single sound that comes out of your mouth. Now, obviously, you're not going to get this straight away because it's very difficult to do. And it's also the kind of first step in a lot of steps. But at least try to be present. Now, I want to make a specific portion just for Fajr. Just for Fajr. Because Fajr is probably the most difficult Salah to fulfill. The most difficult. Because obviously it's the first one when you wake up. And waking up is hard enough, I know. But waking up and then going to the toilet to do wudu and then getting up to pray, it just seems long, innit? First of all, ask Allah for help. Ask Allah for help the night before that you want to wake up for Fajr. Just make a simple dua. Oh Allah, help me wake up for Fajr. And inshallah, He'll help you. Alright, so that's basically just what I wanted to say about Salah. It's very important. Make sure you do it. Next, let's get into the gym / fitness. All this section is going to be is me just telling you the literal basics of the gym. Some basic knowledge that you need to know. I might even link a kind of beginner workout split that you can have access to for free. There you go. I've been going to the gym for around 2 years now. So I'm not too advanced. I'm still in the kind of not beginner stages. I'm going into kind of intermediate right now. But the thing is, I've probably researched more than the kind of average gym goer does. I've watched lectures about sports science, muscle growth in particular, fat loss as well. I'm going to condense it down into the literal basics that you need to know. Fitness and, well, not particularly the gym, but fitness in general is very, very important in Islam too. There's lots of sunnah exercises. The thing is about fitness in Islam is that I don't think it's advocated as much as it should be. There's sunnah sports such as archery, there's horse riding, there's swimming. There's also a big emphasis on being strong. Prophet, peace be upon him, even said, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. But there's good in both. Now, I'm not saying you need to be a bodybuilder to be a good Muslim, but I'm saying just keep your health in check. And to be honest, with the obesity epidemic just getting worse, I think most of adults in the UK are obese. Like most adults. Alright, let's get into the gym. So there's 2 main reasons why people go to the gym. Maybe there's 3. Number 1, and specifically for me, was fat loss. Now, there's a big misconception between like losing weight and fat loss. Because the thing is with losing weight could just mean anything. You could lose an arm and that's technically losing weight. Specifically, we want to focus on fat loss, which is just loss of fat without anything else. So no muscle, no bone loss. The second reason why people go to the gym, and probably the most, popular, is muscle growth. Now, what we mean by muscle growth or hypertrophy is basically just you go to the gym, you damage your muscle, you recover, and the muscle grows. That's literally the simplest way I can describe muscle growth. And the third reason I was talking about is just like kind of staying fit. You see the old elderly people just chilling in the gym, maybe going for a walk. Literally, there used to be this one guy in my gym who used to just walk around and that's all he used to do. Okay, let's get deeper into fat loss. So how does fat loss even work? I've made a whole video on this, which is like right here, but I'll give you the basics again, I guess. Fat loss occurs when you eat less than your calorie maintenance level. And what calorie maintenance level is just the amount of calories you need to eat to maintain at the current weight you're at. So say if I was 90 kg, let's say I need around like 3,000 calories to stay at my weight. Now, your calorie maintenance depends on your height and your age as well. But let's just say 3,000 calories you need to maintain. If I eat at 3,000 calories, I won't gain any fat and I won't lose any fat. But if I eat below maintenance, which is a calorie deficit, let's say I eat around 2,500 calories. So that's 500 calories under my maintenance. What happens then is you start losing weight, ideally in fat. Muscle growth is a bit more complicated because the thing is you could still eat at 3,000 calories and gain muscle. But it's only really at the beginner stages. So if you want to eat at maintenance and start just going to the gym, that'll probably be better. Get consistent in the gym first and then start worrying about your diet. After a while, your kind of noob gains will just kind of go away. And you'll start actually having to put more effort into training and tracking your calories and stuff like that. By the way, I track my calories on MyFitnessPal. This is literally the best possible way to start losing weight or even gaining weight. After a while, you lose those gains, and what you're going to have to do is eat more than your maintenance level. And this is called a calorie surplus. So you have the calorie deficit, which is losing fat, and then you have the calorie surplus, which is gaining. And by the way, when you do a calorie surplus, it's not always guaranteed that you're just going to gain the weight in muscle. There's always just a kind of bit of fat kind of gained anyway. Now, it's kind of unavoidable. But the thing you can do to reduce it is, by the way, a calorie surplus is called a bulk in the kind of broad science terms. So when you're bulking, you're going to want to go on a clean bulk. Now, what I mean by a clean bulk versus a dirty bulk is a dirty bulk, you say you just eat fast food all the time and it's kind of just easy because you just like the food that you're eating. Now, clean bulk is obviously by the name, more cleaner foods, more healthy foods. Now, that's just making sure you gain less fat than you would if you dirty bulked. That's enough on the diet side. I've made separate videos on them, so you can just go watch that. Let's get into the actual gym, the terminology people use, the words that they use, and actually how to train properly. So one of the first words I want you to learn about the gym, you might already know it, but one of the first words you need to come back to always is form. Form/technique. Now, I'm going to be very serious here. You need to take your form and your technique very seriously. Because the thing is, if you do incorrect form on all of your lifts, you are just asking to be injured. Now, the thing is, it's fine to have kind of shaky form at the beginning because you're still learning, obviously. But I recommend you really focus on your form. As soon as you get the form down, it's kind of like the baseline that you need, and then you can just build off of it. Now, if you don't know what I mean by form is literally just how you do an exercise. Now, let's get into reps, specifically rep ranges. Now, I kind of hinted on hypertrophy earlier when I was talking about muscle growth. Hypertrophy is basically just the technical sciencey word for muscle growth. Now, a hypertrophic rep range is basically, as the name suggests, a rep range which allows you to grow the most muscle. And technically, the rep range for hypertrophy is 5 to 30 reps. But the thing is, you're not going to do 30 reps on every single exercise. So I just like to use like 10 to 15 or maybe 8 to 12, something like that. By the way, I'm going to show you later how rep ranges incorporate into progressive overload as well. Now, obviously on some of the kind of heavier, more taxing lifts like squats, deadlifts, stuff like that, you're going to want to use maybe fewer reps, maybe like, I don't know, 6 to 10, maybe. But ideally stick with 8 to 12 or 10 to 15. Now, before I go back to technique, I want to make a quick side point on ego. Now, ego can be used in the gym in a clever way. I don't know, maybe you're trying to hit a PR and you tell yourself you're strong and you're the best person in the gym or whatever. But the thing is with ego is if you let ego affect your technique and you're just dying for that last rep and you don't care how the form looks, then one, you're probably going to get injured. Number two, you're not impressing anyone still because no one really cares. Number three, you just look dumb. So yeah, leave your ego out of the gym, yeah? Leave it at the door. So I've talked about rep ranges before. Now let's get into what an actual rep even is. Rep is short for repetition. So say you're doing 10 reps of, I don't know, low rows. Each time you pull it back and then it returns to where it originally was, that's 1 rep. Now a set is, by the name, a set of reps. A set of repetitions. So say the average people do on each exercise is like 3 sets maybe. So say you want to do 3 sets, maybe you might do like 10 reps. So Altogether, you would do 30 reps. Okay, now let's zoom in further and get really, really specific. So let's go back to the low row example, yeah? There's 3 phases to each rep. The first phase is the concentric, which is you actively moving the weight. So say if you're bench pressing, it's you pushing the weight, and say if you're doing any back exercise, it's you pulling the weight. That's the concentric. The second phase of each rep is called the isometric. This is basically you just holding the weight. So say if you're bench pressing, hold the weight at the top, that's the isometric. Now with some exercises, the isometric is kind of all you do. So say if you're doing planks, you just holding yourself up is called the isometric. Is the kind of important part, yeah, that people miss out a lot. So say let's go back to bench press. Now, from the isometric, which is, remember, you holding the weight up, now you're bringing the weight down. That's called the eccentric, which is you controlling the weight, basically. This is the important part. Accentuate the eccentric in every single lift that you do. Now, I'm not saying when you're bicep curling, you need to
bring it down slowly for like 10 seconds.
But depending on the movement, say if you're squatting, you might want to take like 5 to 6 seconds. Maybe bicep curling, maybe like 1-2 seconds, that's enough. The scientific literature suggests that the eccentric is just as important as the concentric, which is what people usually say is actually the muscle growth movement. I'm not sure if it actually does more damage to the muscle, meaning it gets bigger, but I'm sure it's just as important as the concentric. By the way, let's make a quick side point on cardio, yeah? When I first started the gym, I used to split up my hour in the gym I did half an hour of weight training and then I did half an hour of cardio. Now, do I suggest this? If you're just beginning the gym and your goal is to lose fat as well, then yeah, 100% suggest it. Weight training and your muscles actually getting bigger actually makes you lose more fat, because the bigger your muscles are, the more energy they burn and the more calories they burn. You get it. But the thing is, if your goal is to obviously gain more muscle, then you're not gonna want to do the cardio. Say just do an hour of weight training by itself. A bit more in depth about cardio, it's really simple. Just literally get a step tracker on your phone. It's probably already built into your phone anyway. Do at least like 10k steps a day. That should be all right. Or just like go on the treadmill for like 25 minutes, put on a high incline and just walk. That's what I did, and it's probably the best form of cardio. It doesn't tire you out too much, and it burns just the same amount of calories if you did HIIT. And I really don't like HIIT. A long time ago, and I used to do cardio a lot, I used to just put on Netflix and I used to just watch that while I did cardio. Obviously, it's not very productive. Maybe just listen to a lecture or something like that now. But if you want to watch some Yu-Gi-Oh while you do cardio, then whatever, man.
It's time to do.
Now, the final part I want to talk about in the gym is how to actually progress. Now, progress is probably the core fundamental kind of reason for going to the gym. You don't just go to the gym and just expect nothing to happen. It might be losing fat or you might be gaining muscle, but you want progress. Now, I'm specifically going to talk about progress in gaining muscle because fat loss is more about just what you do outside of the gym, what you eat, your diet. Let's combine all that we just talked about and put it into how to actually progress that. All right, let's take an example. Say you're doing bench press. The first week, you do 3 sets of 10 reps at around, let's say, 50 kg. Now, let's say those 10 reps on each and every set were pretty easy. Now, this is where you want to progressive overload. In the simplest of terms, progressive overload is doing more than you did last time. So let's go back to the example. Say you're bench pressing 3 sets of 10 at 50 kg, really easy. Now, week 2, you're going to want to either increase the reps, increase the sets, or increase the weight. So going back to the example, you either increase the sets to like 4 sets of 10, or you increase the reps to maybe 12 reps, aim for 12 reps each set. Or maybe you want to increase the weight from 50 kg to 60 kg, either one. That is the essence of progress in the gym. That's basically all you need to do. All right, next section, reading/knowledge. Now, we can all agree that reading is very important. We're taught how to read as soon as we can literally understand words. You get The Hungry Caterpillar and The Gruffalo, classic books. But the thing is, most people don't read anymore. And if they do, it's when they don't really want to. It's either too boring or they can't focus for that long, which is a bit sad. It takes too long, too time consuming. Ultimately, they just can't be bothered. As for the first two reasons, I'll come back to them. Well, let's get into...
It takes too long.
You're lying. Go on your phone and look at the screen time. If it's over like 7 hours, then you have time. All right? Just sacrifice literally 1 hour, even if it's like 15 minutes. You have time. That's just a lie. Also, you have audio-based media nowadays. You have audiobooks, you have lectures. Just listen to them while you're just walking. It's probably better than those random degenerate rappers that you listen to. You know, as for you can't be bothered, you will never achieve anything if you say you can't be bothered. If you say you can't be bothered to do something, you'll probably use the same excuse for every single thing. Oh, you need to pray?
I can't be bothered today. I'll pray tomorrow.
Oh, you need to go to work to feed your family?
No, can't be bothered today.
Or you need to study to get good grades? Guess what? You can't be bothered. Coming back to the first two excuses of it's like too boring and you can't focus properly. These are things which result from, I'm gonna just say it, like they just come from social media. Where else is your brain getting hyper stimulated? Constant just left, right, pop-up ad, random short video just popping up on your screen. Click that, click this. Where else is that happening except social media? Okay, I'm gonna be a bit more honest. It's probably not just social media. It's probably like video games too, or anything. Literally anything else that hyper stimulates your brain. The three examples that I always use is social media, video games, and just junk food, fast food. Basically, these things activate so much stuff in your brain that when you want, basically these things activate so many things in your brain that when you actually want to do something productive, it's too boring, or it takes too much time, or you can't focus properly. Those kinds of tasks are painfully boring, and you just wait for the next high, the next hit. How you actually fix this is cut out those types of things to bring your brain back to an actual state where it's functioning properly. Before I tell you how to actually do that properly, I'm going to take a quick stop and give you some book recommendations. Number one, the Quran, obviously. It should be in a separate category, like on its own, by itself. It wasn't authored by man. A quick tip that I want to give is that you should get it in Arabic, but then also get it in a English translation. Now, it doesn't have to be two separate books. You can buy books that have the Arabic and the English side by side, which I have as well. Just show you. For example, I have this one. It has the Arabic and the English side by side. This is the English part. By the way, learning the English and just reading the English is definitely not the same as learning Arabic and then reading it in the original Arabic that it was revealed in. But the thing is, it's better than just reading the Quran and not understanding it. The next book, before my camera decides to die, is the Seerah. The Seerah is just a telling of the life story of the Prophet, peace be upon him. There is a lot of Seerahs, but the thing is, the one I recommend is probably the Seal's Nectar, or When the Moon Split. I haven't read that one, but I gave it to my friend. There's also a purple one. I don't know what kind of Seerah that is. There's also Seerah series on YouTube you can watch. There's also Seerah podcasts on Spotify you can listen to. There's literally no reason why you shouldn't at least know some things about the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. As Muslims, we're supposed to love the Prophet, peace be upon him. You can't love someone if you don't know anything about them. It's our duty as Muslims to find this out, and the Seerah is the perfect place to start. The next and final book recommendation is called The Ideal Muslim. This is the book right here, and I've talked about this book before on my channel as well. But the thing I like about it is that it really sticks to sources, like directly to the sources. And to be honest, if you want to level up actually being a good Muslim, then this is the perfect book to do it. That's the end of the book recommendations. The next thing I'm going to get into is what I talked about earlier, which is kind of reducing the dopamine stimulating activities, dopamine detoxing. There's a video right here. You go click on that. It just goes into what dopamine detoxing is, why you should do it, is it even worth it? You know, I'm calling it dopamine detoxing for lack of a better word. Sometimes it's called like dopamine fasting, something like that, or taking a break from kind of hyper stimulant activities. Basically, it's just reducing all things which kind of mess up your brain. Social media, junk food, video games, drugs. What dopamine detox actually even does is rewire your brain to make you enjoy the usually boring and mundane activities, such as, let's say, deep working, reading, maybe it might even be prayer. There's different types of dopamine detoxing. Some people literally cut out every single thing in the whole day. But I think the better way to do it is just reducing it in small amounts every single day. Let's say I were 100% degenerate mode. You're spending like 10 hours on your phone. You're spending like 6 hours on video games. Let's say you reduce that by like half. It's kind of easier to do about half. So let's say you spend 5 hours on your phone, 3 hours on video games instead. It seems very, very simple right now. But the thing is, we're obviously establishing the very simple things right now, so then you can eventually reduce it further later. Because the thing is, it might not be that realistic to literally get rid of every single thing, unless your like willpowers are like 100. Now, I'm not saying don't do that. I mean, you can if you want. It might help you a lot. It helped me a lot. I remember the first time I dopamine detoxed like properly, it was actually very difficult. The thing is that the other things were fine. But the thing is, I used to eat while watching videos all the time. I couldn't eat without watching videos. Like it was in my mind, it was just both of them were linked. So that was kind of like the main constraint I had when I was dopamine detoxing for the first time. It might be different for you. It might be video games for you. It might be junk food for you. You never know. Obviously, this allows you to obviously still enjoy the highly stimulating activities, but also it's going to slowly kind of reset your brain. And obviously you're not overindulging in them to a point where you stop doing the things you actually need to do. So yeah, we've reached the end of the dopamine detoxing section. It's honestly really just simple. It's basically common sense. I was talking to my friend this one time and he said everything that these self-improvement YouTubers teach, or just like these self-help people teach, is basically common sense. All of this that I'm talking to you about right now, you know already. You should be doing already. But the thing is, some people just need that push. Some people just need that reminder, I know I do. The hell? Now, before we get into the last section of this very long video, I'm going to make a quick side point on consistency. Because obviously, if you're not consistent with something, then it probably won't work out for you. So the main thing about consistency is that it's going to be very difficult sometimes. There's going to be points where your momentum and your consistency just stops and you're going to be out for maybe a couple of days before you get really back into it. The thing is with just self-improvement is that if you were to plot it on like a graph, it wouldn't be a straight line. It'd probably be like up a bit and then stay still and then up a bit and then stay still and then up a bit and then you go all the way down. The thing is, if you zoom out of that, you're going to find that jagged line is a straight one. Because the thing is, if you don't give up, if you don't just lose hope, then the only place you can go is up. It's impossible for you, if you try your hardest, to stay in the same place forever. It's impossible. The thing is that this graph that we've kind of established is going to be full of momentum breaks. It's going to be full of broken promises. It's going to be full of you just going back on your word. But the one thing that it shouldn't contain is you giving up, because that's when you truly lose. Failure is good. Failure in training is good. Failure in your job is probably good, because you can learn from it. And failure in training, obviously your muscle grows bigger. But that's beside the point. Nobody's perfect. Nobody just gets on self-improvement and just goes flying up until they reach like level 100 straight away. It doesn't work like that. It would be sick if it did, but it doesn't. Do you think that when I lost that 30 kg, that I just like kept losing weight until all the way down until like minus 30 kg? No, bro. I think I even gained weight sometimes. But I made it eventually. And the key thing with that is patience. Consistency is you waking up and doing one thing literally every single day. I think for me it would probably be gratitude journaling. I've literally done this every single day if it's been in my capability. And look here, the gratitude journal is what you're literally sitting on right now. Look. Thinking that everything is just going to go your way is delusional thinking. And not the good type of delusional thinking either. Failure is part of success.
Failure has been achieved, thank God. Now, the only place to go from failure is to win.
I have to bring the topic back to the last section, bro. Come on. All right. Speaking about delusional thinking and not giving up, let's get into the last section of the video. Self-identity. Let's rewind back around 2 years ago. I weighed 110 kg. I used to sit around all day watching anime and or the questionable content. I showered maybe like once a week and I hated going to school. What do you think my self-identity was at the time? If you ask me, you're probably like a fat, dirty loser who just watched anime all the time and never went to school. Now, let's theorize for a second, yeah? What do you think would happen if I told my past self, that dirty loser from 2 years ago, you are an athlete, you are a great Muslim, and you are grateful for everything Allah has given you? You know, if I really believed those statements and I really took them into myself, you know, I'd probably start going to the gym. I would start praying more. I would start showering, probably waste less time online, spend more time with family. You know, all of these things changed and all I did was just tell myself something and then delusionally, autistically believe them. Self-identity and self-belief is very, very important. Don't overlook it, man. Now, it might sound a bit cringy, me telling you to believe in yourself and you can do it and just believe. But honestly, you know, it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. Because let's think about it logically, yeah? Alright, let's say you want to become a Hafiz of the Quran, yeah? MashaAllah, good, very good goal right there. Now, let's say you told yourself that you couldn't do it. It was impossible. It would take too long. I'm just not that smart. Now, do you think you would ever achieve that goal? A lot of people are very limited by their own belief. Very limited. You know, if Neil Armstrong never believed he could go to the moon, yeah, he wouldn't have went to the moon. It's very simple. Tell yourself only good things. Like if you go up to your best friend and just tell him like, oh bro, you're a loser, man. You can't do anything with your life. Bro, how would that make him feel, bro? And then why do you tell that to yourself? It doesn't make sense. Like, why wouldn't you just go to your friend and be like, bro, you can do anything with your life, bro. Like, you got that, man. Easy. So if you would feel nice doing that to your friend and it would actually help your friend, logic says that it would help you as well. So just tell those things to yourself. As soon as you tell yourself you can't do something, you'll never achieve it. Ever. And the reason is because you won't try. If you don't believe you can do something, there's no point in trying. One of the reasons why I lost that 30 kg is because I believed I could do it. If I told myself those cope things I told myself 2 years ago, oh, you're just big boned, bro. Like, you got big bones. That's such a dumb excuse, bro. Like, you got big bones. Be quiet, man. Just be nice to yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. Conclusion time. Time for the end of this long video. You know, the main message that I want you to take away from this video, yeah, is have patience. Have a lot of patience. You know, in the Quran it says,
واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين.
Sometimes all you gotta do is just ask. You know what I'm saying? And who else are you gonna ask except Allah? Who else is gonna give you something except Allah? The provider, the sustainer, the creator. If He's created the entire universe and all He has to say is be, and it is. Now, who's to say it just won't help you a little bit with your improvement? You getting closer to Him, actually wanting to improve yourself for Him. Because the thing is, the intention that we need to take away also is that we shouldn't be doing this for the worldly life, because it's fleeting. We should be in this world as strangers and as a traveler. You'll never be truly happy in this life because you're not supposed to be. Your end destination isn't here. It never was. You'll see these people try to grasp their happiness by fulfilling their desires, just feeding their nafs, and all it ever results in is just more pain, more suffering. Because that's what this life is, and it's supposed to be. Pain and suffering. But that's part of it. That's part of the test. That's the reason why we're here. You thought Jannah was going to be easy to get, bro. No.
أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب.
Every single second of your life is a test. And some people are failing, some people are passing with flying colors. Which one are you going to be? You already know what you should be doing. So do it. And if you want help, all you need to do is ask. Ask Allah with true sincerity. You may not get what you want straight away, or you may not get it at all. But I guarantee you that you'll get something better. If not in this life, then absolutely the next. May Allah make it easy for all of us and grant us success in this life and the next. Ameen. Take care, bro.